Good morning, everyone. Students, this is chapter number 3. We are continuing with, and today this will be our concluding class of this chapter. Means last video of this chapter I'm providing you. Well, before your summer break, we have taken the topic global enterprises or multinational companies, and we have discussed its meaning and features. Well, I just repeat the features. Features are like huge capital resources, foreign collaboration, advanced technology, product innovations, marketing strategy, expansion of market territory, and centralized control. All these things we have discussed, and of course we will discuss very soon once again in the merits and demerits also. Well, this is the topic which we have to do, and this is role of global enterprises or multinational corporations. Role of global enterprises, this tells which role it is playing in the whole global economy, or you can say the advantages of the MNCs. It's telling that MNCs generate large scale employment opportunity in the host country. That's quite true. Wherever it is working, of course it will provide the employment. Next, it's telling that improve living standard in the host country where they come. Host country, like the MNCs, they are coming as a guest in our country, so our country is taken as a host country. So it improves the standard of living of the people. And of course, when you are providing the employment to the people, so their standard of living improves. And next, it is telling MNC help to integrate national economies into the world economy. We know that when you're working in your country, right, you are confined to your country, but when you have started working with MNC, that means you are selling your goods throughout the world. Okay, now you have joined with the world economy. Next, it's telling that MNC bring in foreign capital for the development of the host country. Of course, when any country is coming to do business with you, country, or you can say the company of any other country is coming to your country for the business, so it invests capital, so we get a foreign capital here. Now it increases the foreign exchange reserves, right? So here we get the foreign currency, so this increases in the foreign exchange reserves by increasing their exports and reducing their dependence on imports. So increasing export, when you are manufacturing the things here, so you are self-dependent, you don't have to import anything because you are manufacturing here, rather you are supplying it to other countries. That means you are exporting. Sale karna yani export, and if you are buying something from another country, that is called import. All right, next we have MNCs bring in advanced technology, improved skills and consultancy, which helps the developing countries to improve the quality of products and reduce cost. Advanced technology, quite true that we don't have the advanced technology, but if we tie up with certain other company, the company of any other country, so they bring their technology in our country, right? So we enjoy the better technology, advanced technology, and we get the advantage of that, right? So these were the role of global enterprises, and you will see that these all points are a part of the merits also. And our next topic is merits of global enterprises. So these are quite easy, so I'm taking it very soon. It's inflow of foreign capital. Inflow of foreign capital, right? Inflow of the capital in the host country. If any other company is coming to your country to do the business, so they bring the capital also. Okay, so that way we get the foreign capital. Growth of domestic firm. Well, not only at international level, even at the national level, other companies which are attached to this particular business, they are also growing. See, the business which you are doing, you are manufacturing something or any work you are doing, so many works will be there which are attached to your business, right? So many other national firms and national companies that also grow. Next is employment opportunity that we have discussed. This provides the employment opportunity to the countryman of the host country. Well, advanced technology also we have discussed. Multinational companies act as a source of advanced technology because they have their own research and development departments where they develop new techniques, and of course we are getting the advantage of that advanced technology. Well, next it's telling about the healthy competition. MNCs compel the local firms to improve their efficiency in order to face competition from them. See, when we don't have any MNCs in the country, so the local businesses, they are flourishing and they are providing the things in the market. Whatever they are manufacturing, we are bound to purchase. But if anybody come to give them competition, so they have to like improve their quality, right? Because now we have a choice. We can compare the quality of the product, we can compare the cost of that product, and if you don't like the quality and cost, so we can divert to the another one, right? In that situation, we can buy product from the MNCs. So this is quite helpful for the local firms to improve their quality because it's giving them competition. Next is improves standard of living. This also we have discussed, when it is providing employment in your country and certain other sectors are improved, so overall development is there, and that helps in improving the standard of living of the people. World economy, multinational promotes the concept of global economy. They help to integrate national economies into a world economy. Of course, here it's not only one nation, so many nations are a part of this business, right? So it's not your country's economy, okay? This is world economy now. Next is your limitations. Obsolete technology. See, we think because we are short of technology, so whatever the technology is coming in our country, we accept it. But this is obsolete technology for them, it's outdated for them, and then they are giving it in our country. So this is one of the drawback. In fact, they are not providing us the latest one, which is discarded by them. They are providing that technology. Next is disregard of national priorities. Well, here the people who are working with these companies, they have tied up with the MNCs, so they keep the profits of their company at a priority, right? That is at the priority, and they don't care about the national priorities. They don't care about the benefits of the nation, okay? So they are keeping themselves on the top. Next is threat to national sovereignty. This is MNCs enjoy considerable political influence due to their huge operations. Here it's telling threat to national sovereignty means a threat to the national power. Okay, here these MNCs, they are interfering in the politics of the country, right? Means influencing the government, influencing our political matters. So it's a threat to the national power. Next is creation of monopoly. We are just saying that it's giving a competition to the indigenous firms, the firms which are already existing in the country. But in fact, this creates a sort of monopoly. Multinationals give rise to concentration of economic power and monopoly in the host country, because MNCs, they are always on the large scale, and they have power, they have money, everything, so they just hold that area, right? So creation of monopoly, wherever in the field they are working in, they are manufacturing something, so they have a monopoly over there. Next one is depletion of natural resources. Well, when any country is coming to any other country, suppose any foreign company has come to India and they have established a plant, right? They have started manufacturing in our country, so they are availing the raw material from our country, they are utilizing rest of the resources of our country, so the resources of our country are depleting day by day. So MNCs exploit the resources of the host country to maximize their global profit. So they enjoy the profits, but they are using the resources of our country. All right, so these all were the limitations of the MNC. Although we had a lot of benefits, but some drawbacks were also there. Well, here we have completed MNC, features, merits and demerits. Now we will talk about joint venture. More or less, joint venture is like partnership students. Joint means milna, right? Mil ke kaam karna. So here two or more firms, and these firms and companies can be on the national level also, right? They just tie up with each other, they join their hands, and then they start doing the work jointly. So when two or more business agree to join together for a common purpose and mutual benefit, it gives rise to a joint venture. Well, you must have listened about the Maruti Suzuki. You know, Maruti was of India and Suzuki was of the Japan. These two companies were there and they have tied up. So this Maruti Suzuki is working in the joint venture. So in India, joint venture companies on the best way of doing business. There are no separate law for these joint ventures, and companies incorporated in India are treated the same as domestic company. If this joint venture company is working in India, the same rule regulations of the Indian companies will be applicable. The rule regulations of Indian law, right? Law and order of the India will be followed. So for example, I think they have also taken the same one. Maruti Suzuki. Maruti Company of India and Suzuki of the Japan, they joined together to form Maruti Suzuki Limited. Kirloskar Group of India and Toyota Motor Corporations of Japan joined together to form Toyota Kirloskar, right? So these companies are termed as joint venture. Well, formation of joint venture. So these can be formed this way. New joint venture company. Second one can be in the collaboration of existing Indian company with other party and transfer of business to new company. It's telling how the joint venture is formed. Banti kaise hai joint venture. There are these three methods to form that. It's telling new joint venture. It's just new. You have formed it. Both the parties subscribe to the share of a joint venture company in cash and agreed ratio and start a new business. See, Mr. A and B. A Limited and B Limited, these two companies are there. So they are not merging with each other. They have created one more new company, that is C Limited, right? And they have purchased the share of C Limited. Both of these companies, they have purchased in the equal ratio or any other decided ratio. Okay. So this C Limited is what? This is a joint venture. All right. So this is the first case, new joint venture company, C Limited you have created. Next one is collaboration of existing Indian company with other party. When promoter shareholders of an existing Indian company collaborates with other party, resident or non-resident, to jointly carry on business of that company, the other party may take up shares of the company through payment in cash. See, A Limited and B Limited is there. Now, B Limited has purchased some share of the A Limited, right? So they have joined together. Earlier it was only of A Limited. Now B Limited has purchased certain share of B. तो दोनों की एक company हो गई ना. So this is what collaboration of existing Indian company with other party. All right. Third one is transfer of business to new company. Two parties incorporate a new company and business of one party is transferred to a new company in consideration of issue of share to such party. The other party subscribe the share in cash. So this is also like that. Transfer of business to new company. Here A and B Limited was there, right? They didn't form the C Limited. Okay. तो A Limited ने अपना सारा business B Limited को hand over किया या transfer किया. So that way that has become one joint venture, right? So these were the three methods: new joint venture, collaboration of existing Indian company, and transfer of business to new company. Well, next topic is our features of joint venture. That's very easy and interesting, like partnership, increased resources and capacity. Very, very obvious, students. When one person is working, having the limited resources like sole proprietor, when two people are there, so definitely their power is more, their capital is more, their working capacity is more. And the same thing happens with the joint venture. When a single company is working, they have the limited power and limited resources are there. And when another company has also come enter in the joint venture, so their power and their capacity and resources increased. Next one is access to new markets and distribution network. Earlier, you were working in your market, you were confined to your area, limited area was there of your business. Now another one, maybe from your country, maybe from any other country, they have joined your hands, and definitely that party was also doing business somewhere. They also had some market. Now two markets are there, right? So area has increased, the vast area you have. Access to new markets and distribution network. Okay, earlier you are having the single thing, now that is the double one. Double market means the expanded market you have. Well, next one is access to technology. The single person is working, having the limited technology. As I've told you, India lack technology, but if we join the hand with Japan, so we hire their technology, or you can say we can avail the benefit of their technology. So technology is the major factor for most businesses to enter into joint venture by joining hands with foreign company. Indian companies can get the benefits of advanced technology, techniques of production leading to superior quality products, saves a lot of time, energy and investment, as they don't have to develop their own technology. Technology also aids to efficiency and effectiveness, thus leading to reduction in cost, right students? So definitely when they have the better technology, they can save the time, money and energy, and they can spend it somewhere else for the betterment of the business. Next, innovation. Well, of course, when two people are searching something, so more innovative ideas. See, if I'm working single, so my ideas are confined to me. But if you join me, so you have the different idea. So in the same way, when two companies are joining, either from the same country or the different one, so some new innovative ideas will be there with them. Next is low cost of production. Well, multinational companies can get quality products at low cost due to cheap raw material and labor in India. Well, here especially they are talking about the India. If any other country is joining hand with India or Indian company, so we know that in India we have raw material available, resources are there, a lot of resources are there, and cheap laborers are available. So this laborer is a very considerable part of the cost of any product. While manufacturing, a very big portion of the cost goes to the laborer. So if they get the cheap laborer in the country, so overall the cost of the product reduces, right? And this happens. Next one is established brand name. When two business enter into joint venture, one of the parties benefits from the other's goodwill. If one business has already reputed in the market and that business is well known by rest of the countries or rest of the companies and people, right? And any unknown party joins them. So this is the benefit to that unknown party, unknown business, unknown country who has joined the hand. Okay, so that unknown party enjoys the benefit of the established brand name. जिसका already brand name established है तो उसको उसका फायदा मिलता है. Fine. So here we have discussed the features of joint venture. Now we will talk about the merits and demerits. And merits and demerits always come from the feature. You must have observed this feature is containing certain merits and demerits. Okay. So merits are low cost of production. Recently we have discussed. There is no need to repeat it again. Then established brand name. Here we have discussed a few seconds before. And third one, access to new market and distribution network. This also we have done here. Second point of the this features. Then increased resources and capacity. This is the first point we have discussed here. Innovation also we have done, and access to technology, this also we have done. Point number 3. Fine. So features, all these features, I think all these features are having merits. So we have taken all these things. Fine. But we have a few demerits also. Never happens that something is not having any drawback. So the first one is conflict of interest, of course, that we have discussed in the partnership also. If two or more people, either people, country, firms, whatever, they are joining their hands, so sooner or later some conflicts arises, right? And same happens with the joint venture also, then problem comes. Next one is risk of loss of trade secrets. Very important. See, if I'm working, so nobody knows my secret. If any other company is working, so I don't know about their secret. But when two companies, either Indian or the foreign, they join the hand, so we have to share the secrets. They know my modus operandi and I know their one, right? So the secret is leak out. That's the drawback. Well, in future, if we are get separated, so they know very well what is my method of working and I know very well what is their method of working. Okay, so that is the secret. Next one is lack of coordination. Sometimes this happens. There can be lack of coordination among the partners, which may affect the efficient functioning of the joint venture. Sometimes this happens, not always, that there is no coordination between the partners when they are not understood enough. Fine. So that time they have to face the problem. Well, students, here we have completed this joint venture also. Features, merits and demerits. Now it's different topic and very important. We will talk about the public-private partnership. This is very common these days, the latest one. 3 P's are there. Okay, this can be your 1 mark question also. Just expand it or tell the full form of 3 P's, right? So this is public-private partnership. what happens, students, we have already discussed in this chapter that if we talk about the public sector, the benefit of the public sector is this is under the control of the government and this is financed by the government, right? Where the private sector is not coming forward, so this public sector is working. All right. And why the private sector is coming? Because we know certain drawbacks we have discussed in detail in the public sector. Public sector के drawbacks हैं जिसको कौन ठीक कर सकता है? The private sector. If private sector comes forward, so the drawback of the public sector can be removed. All right. But I want both the things, you know. In the private sector, nobody is ready to take the risk, and we don't want to invest in that rural and rural area and the backward area. Okay. But government want progress, and we don't want to have the drawbacks of the public sector. So we have done something in partnership. If we join this private and public sector, so that's very good combination of the progress. Okay. So this public-private partnership, this has come in the existence because they have seen the pros and cons of both the sectors. Okay. So public-private partnership is a legally binding contract between government and private business firm for provision of public assets or public services for the benefit of the public, right? It's a long-term partnership between public and private sectors. All right. The main target of this partnership is to finance, design, implement, and provide infrastructural facilities that were traditionally provided by the public sector. All right, students, I think it's clear. Whatever I have explained, it's telling the same thing. There has been a rapid rise in 3Ps across the world since 1990. Government in developing as well as developed countries are using public-private partnership arrangements for improved delivery of basic services. Student is telling that not only developing country, even developed countries are also following this method. Government are building infrastructure through 3Ps in the following area. In which area this is working according to this policy? That's transport, road, railways, and toll bridge. Education sector, that's school, colleges, universities. Healthcare, like hospitals. Waste management, like collection and waste to energy plants. Water collection, treatment, and distribution, right? So these 3Ps, public-private partnership, is working in these areas: transportation, education, healthcare, waste management, and water. Okay. Now, what are the features of these 3P? Investments by private sector, right? It provides for both investment and non-investment 3Ps. Investments by private sector. Public sector is already existing, right? So private sector has joined the hand. That means private sector has to invest in that. Sometimes government shows that it's not having the sufficient fund, so private sector is coming. And of course, when two sectors are joining the hand, so they have to invest. Next one, this is arrangement with private sector. The public assets and or public services under the arrangements will be provided by the private sector entity to the public. It's telling that the public assets and the public services which is provided by the government, that is available for the private sector also, because they are working together. Like they have explained it, what comes in the public services are those services that the government is obliged to provide to the citizens, or where the government has traditionally provided the services to the citizen. Here they have used the term public assets, public services, right? And the private sector entity. So what do they mean by the public services? Public services means the services which are provided by the government. Okay. For example, provision of law and order and electricity, water, these all things are completely provided by the government. That's in the hand of the public sector. And public assets का क्या मतलब है? Public assets is the assets whose use is linked to the delivery of the public services. जिन चीज़ों को आप public services के लिए provide कराते हैं, like road, public road is there, which is linked to the public transportation, right? That's not of the private people, that's of the government. Okay, so public property, public assets. Third one is operations. The 3Ps arrangement is for a specific period, after which the arrangement with private sector comes to an end. See, they tie up with each other for a limited time of period. आपने टोल टैक्स का भी सुना होगा, and certain other roads has been constructed. Later on this will come. कुंडली वाला रोड है which passes through the गुड़गांव and Delhi side से जाता है, तो that has also constructed under this policy. Public private partnership में बना है वो. Okay, so operations, the 3Ps arrangement is for a specific period. This is for the limited time of period, and when the time period gets over, so this automatically turns up. Next one is risk sharing with private sector. Of course, risk sharing is there. It's not only the single sector which is working. If single sector is there, so risk will be borne by the single sector. Now both the sectors are there, public and private, so the risk will also be shared by both the sectors. Next one is performance linked payments. It aims to provide central focus on performance and not merely provision of facility or service. Well, students, if we talk about the private sector, the private sector most of the time it concentrates on the profits. Okay, so it's telling performance linked payment कि आपकी किस तरह की performance है उसके हिसाब से payment किया जाएगा. If performance is nice, then payment will be done. So it aims to provide central focus on performance. जो main focus होता है that is on the performance and not merely provision of facility or service. कि आपने ये road बनाई है तो it's not focusing on this only कि आपने जैसा भी टूटा फूटा road बना दिया and that's all. No, it's not like that. They just check the quality also and the performances, right? Now, conformance to performance standards. It aims to provide a strong element of service delivery aspect of compliance to predetermined quality standards. Well, it's not only working on the thing whatever they have said, even they are comparing the things. They have already decided certain aims and some standards they have decided. So it's telling predetermined quality standards, and they are comparing these all things, whether they have achieved this goal or no, whether they have achieved these standards or certain variations are there. So they take care of all these things, right students? So here we have completed the features of public-private partnership. Now, as usual, some merits are there. So the first merit is better viability. Involvement of experienced and credit-worthy sponsors and commercial lenders could enhance viability of the project. Viability of the project means how suitable and how near it is to the reality. Okay, so better viability is there when certain good people join and some credit-worthy sponsors, like who sponsors this project, usko finance karna, right? So the top worthy people, they just join that. So we have a surety of the success of this project, right? So better viability is there. Next one is innovation. 3P helps in bringing innovative design and construction practices. Okay, means innovation is there when both the sectors are joining the hand, so the things are more innovative, as we have already discussed. When two or more people are working together, so better performance is there. Next one, inflow of private investment. As we know that private and public sector, they have joined the hand. It's not only the public sector, not only the government, even the private sector is also investing money. So inflow of the money, right? Inflow from the private sector to the public sector, कि government के पास private sector का पैसा आ रहा है. So 3Ps attracts private investment, which is of utmost importance to undertake such essential projects. It reduces the need for public money, and such public money could be used in other priority areas and projects. So it's explaining, if private sector doesn't invest the money, in that case public sector means government has to spend the whole amount. But what is the benefit here? The private sector is coming forward, it is investing money, so government don't have to invest much, and it can save the money for other work, for other areas, for the public welfare, right? So that's the advantage. Next one is increased efficiency. When two or more firms have joined the hand, better technologies there, better ideas are there, innovations are there, so efficiency increases automatically. Sharing of project risk, quite obvious. When single sector is there, so the single sector is sharing the profits and losses, whatever. the whole risk goes to the one sector. Now both the sectors are there, private sector and public sector. So if any risk arises, so both the sectors are sharing the risk. Fine, students. So here we have completed the merits. Here they have just given its brief of that features. I mean, a 3Ps model they are taking. I'm just reading it for you, we have already done it. Features: contract with the private party to design and build public facility. Right? किस मॉडल पे बना है कि public and private sector they are joining the hand. Contract with both the, I mean, contract between both the sectors. Then facility is financed and owned by the public sector. Right? Facilities and financed by both of them. Right? Key driver is the transfer of design and construction risk. Right? Key driver is the transfer of design and construction risk. Risk दोनों parties का है और design, like key driver is the transfer of design and construction risk. The main elements of this project. कोई भी project बनता है तो उसका outlay आप पहले prepare करते हैं, बाद में उसको execute किया जाता है. ठीक है? Now application where we are using suited to capital projects with small operating requirement, right? So at which projects this is suitable? Suited to capital projects where we require the money with small operating requirement, right? Suited to capital projects where the public sector wishes to retain the operating responsibility. Public sector wishes to retain the operating responsibility, where you need the help of somebody. If somebody provides the finance, right, but the control should be in my hand. Naturally, when the government, I mean public and private sector, both the sectors are joining the hand, so operating things they try to keep in their hand, means public sector, government, right, but it is financed by the private also. Strengths, what are the strengths? Transfer of design and construction risk. रिस्क ट्रांसफर हो जाता है एक दूसरे, लाइक मिल के काम करते हैं. दैट इज द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ दिस प्रोजेक्ट. एंड दिस इज पोटेंशियल टू एक्सेलरेट प्रोजेक्ट. प्रोजेक्ट आगे बढ़ता है when both the parties, I mean both the sectors are working together. Risk sharing capacity has been divided, so it is their strength. So it is discussing, simply it is talking कि ये इसके features हैं, ये applications हैं, इन areas में इस reason से होता है. These are the strength, means powers, you can say the features, merits are there. Weaknesses, drawbacks क्या है? Conflict between parties may arise on environmental consideration. It's not like that partnership वाला matter, everything is in written, right, deed is there, but कोई भी environmental consideration, some changes takes place in the environment that you will study in 12th standard. जैसे कि अभी हमारा at present COVID-19 is going on, so in this peculiar kind of situation any conflict can arise, right, we never know. Next one is doesn't attract private finance easily. So it's not easy for the private sector to join the hand. They should be very powerful, only then they come forward, and certain business families are there which are coming forward and they are joining the hand with the public sector, right? And examples: Kundli Manesar Expressway Limited. In this 135 kilometer expressway, land has been provided by the government and surface has been laid out by the company. Understood, students? This example is clearing everything whatever we have discussed. So here Kundli Manesar Express Limited, I think many of you, if you have visited to Kulu Manali last year, so we have passed through this way only, right? This was the highway, and this its length is 135 kilometer expressway, right? And its land is provided by the government and the structure has laid by the private sector, right, students? So that's all in this chapter we have completed. I hope the points are clear. If still you have some doubts, so we can discuss at any time, right? So tomorrow you have a doubt session. If you have any problem in this chapter or in the previous one, so you can ask. I tell you, students, in your pre-midterm exam 3 chapters are coming, as we have completed today, chapter number 1, 2 and 3. So take care and start learning. And if you didn't purchase the books, so it's my suggestion, within 1 or 2 days you must purchase your book. This will be very helpful. Thank you.